Okay, let's do another one with rigid motions. Today I want to talk about reflections. Reflections will be our focus of this video. Again, it shouldn't be real long. And let's start right here. I've got a rectangle here called FGHI, if I'm talking alphabetical. It asked me to reflect the quadrilateral FGHI across the y-axis. That's where a lot of kids make a mistake. They'll reflect it across the axis perfectly, but sometimes they go across the X when they're supposed to be going across the Y, and vice versa. But very careful to go across. This is our Y-axis here, so it wants us to go across this axis right here. Okay, so I'm going to clear that quick. And my simple strategy is, here's my axis. I see that F is one unit to the right of the axis. When it reflects across this axis, it will be one to the left of it, and that will be my F prime. The same thing is true for every single coordinate or vertex. This is G, it's one to the right of the axis. When I reflect it over, it will be one to the left. Pretty simple. I do that for all four of them, so I'd count this. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the right of the axis. So now I would simply count 8 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is exactly where I prime will go. And when you get good at this, obviously, I will just make this a perfect rectangle, so H must be right there. That's my H prime. And I connect my dots, and I have successfully reflected that shape across the y-axis. I am going to move to the next page, and we'll try another one. This time it tells me to reflect the exact same rectangle, but this time across the x-axis. So I think about it, this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis, so it's going to flip down into the fourth quadrant. Same strategy though, it's not on the line or overlapping the line or the axis, so it's 2 above, so G prime will be 2 below. That's how you reflect that across the x-axis. H is 2 above, so 1, 2 below, at -2 on the y. And there's my H prime. I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. And there's my I prime. And the same strategy as last time, I can line it up. And it should be right there for my F prime. Again, connect the dots, try to make them nice and straight when you're drawing on a graph paper or an iPad or whatever you may be doing. And I have successfully reflected that across the x-axis. We do have some little tricks we'll throw at you later. Let's see what we got on our next page. Here it asks me to reflect this one across the x-axis, then across the y-axis. So I've got to do this twice simply. So I've got to be careful to decide which way first. This is my x-axis, so I'm going to reflect down here into the third quadrant. C is 3 above, so 1, 2, 3 below for C prime. Same thing for B, 3 above, so 1, 2, 3 below for B prime. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above for the A, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for A prime. I'm going to draw this whole thing in here first, and then I'm going to reflect it across the y-axis like it asked me to. So D, of course, is 6 above, D will be 6 below, and there it is. You don't necessarily have to connect all the dots, I just have to reflect each one of these vertexes now over here. Then I'll draw my picture. So let's do that. I'm reflecting across the y-axis this time as instructed. The C is 3 to the left of the y-axis, so the new C will be over here. Our final C prime, I should say, maybe. B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for B prime. And D, 3 to the left, so 3 to the right. And A is easy to figure out using, oops, shouldn't be drawing that necessarily right now, but something's wrong here. this D should be right here. I made a mistake. That happens to us math teachers once in a while. That D prime should be right there. And A prime would be right there. I would encourage you to do the same. When you make a mistake, catch it. Because that was not going to look exactly like this shape, and I could tell it was going to be like too tall. So this was a mistake. I should erase that probably, and I will in 1 second here, just to make my picture look a little nicer. And I have successfully reflected across the x-axis and then across the y-axis and got my shape in exactly the right position. Here's one thing that I'm going to show you that's a little bit trickier for some people, but it works really exactly the same way. I have to reflect this quadrilateral, MNOP, across the y-axis, and if you'll notice, it's laying right on the y-axis. So you do the exact same strategy that I just showed you. The P is 1, 2 to the right of the axis, so I'm going to reflect that particular vertex 2 to the left, and it will end up right here. That's where P prime will be. Same thing with O, it's 2 to the right now, so it will be 2 units to the left. That's where O prime will be. And then M is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left in the original shape, so it will be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right on the new shape. And same thing for N, 5 to the right. So when it's lying right on the axis, it will still be right on the axis. But technically that has been reflected across the y-axis. I hope that makes sense, and please watch often if needed. Thank you for your attention.